and welcome back to the Dukascopy Studios in Geneva. I am joined today by Gbenga Olowoye from UBIS University to discuss the Nigerian elections. Welcome, Gbenga.
Thank you, Jessica, for welcoming me to the Dukascopy TV.
How do you think the recent elections in Nigeria would translate to the democratic dividends for the Nigerian citizens?
That's $1 million question. But I want to say that it's not just going to be a democratic dividend for Nigerian citizens, but for the whole of Africa. I want to believe that despite all the troubles that we've gone through as a nation, 100 years old now, Nigerian citizens now realized they have a new opportunity, and they seized it through the use of the card reader and the permanent voters' cards using biometric capture. Nigeria elections for once was near transparent, and the people voted for change. Here it's a ruling party has been there for 16 years, and sometimes you can be very complacent, you know, and an opposition came along with the right strategy and the right message, and the people just, you know, bought their message. And what Nigeria have said by this election to the whole of Africa and the world is that a time has come for people in Africa to be able to choose their leaders without killing each other. You know, it's still happening a bit some countries in Africa, but the dividend is that we can now begin to build a nation state, and that is a great democratic dividends for Nigeria and Africa.
Great. So what, in your opinion, should be new wins that are introduced by the new government?
Yeah, there must be quick wins because, for once, it's so important for the president-elect and his team, General Muhammadu Buhari, to restore hope and trust in the people that voted him into power after 3 attempts at becoming the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Definitely there must be quick wins, and one of them must be an immediate reduction in the cost of governance in Nigeria, which is just horrendous, absolutely high. So there is a need to really reduce the cost of running government in Nigeria. Of course, there is a need to provide, you know, energy to run, you know, the productive sector in the Nigerian economy, and the government may have to look at alternative sources of energy, renewable energy, and possibly solar energy. And I believe one of the quick wins should also be to make sure they restore quality vocational education. You know, you have 80 million youth in Nigeria. That's a blessing to any country. And when they are properly trained, as many of us were 30, 40 years ago, I believe that will become an asset rather than a liability to the country. The Vice President-elect, Professor Shibajo, is one of the brightest minds in Nigeria, and he might be leading the economy. I expect for quick wins for him to put a crack team of technocrats together, not just politicians, to be able to redirect the ship of Nigeria in order to make sure that we restore viability to Nigerian state, so that we send a message to the investors that we're ready and that now is the time to invest in a new Nigeria.
So you mentioned youth unemployment, and there are other economic challenges as well, including lowering oil prices. Yeah. How can they be dealt with? Yeah,
I mean, the low oil prices in the world today shouldn't be a total disaster for Nigeria. The problem in Nigeria is just the need for good governance, and there will be challenges to Nigerian economy temporarily because the foreign reserves will go down, and the budgets will have a lot of deficits because of the projections, you know. But that should just be a temporary issue. Of course, Nigeria being a monopolar economy, hence exports, 95% of the export earnings comes from oil and gas, and 70% of the revenue for government also come from that. So there is a need now, a potential opportunity for Nigeria to completely diversify her portfolio into digital jobs. That's what I call it, digital jobs for the young population. Many of the young population in Nigeria has laptops, media, instruments and all that, through which they can leverage, and you have business outsourcing opportunity that can come from different nations, in Nairobi, in Kenya today, the ICT sector contributes 12% to the GDP. Meanwhile, Nigeria, with all the money, the oil and gas contributes now about 11% to real GDP, because it's just all about recurrent expenditure as against the capital, thing that should be put on ground to allow infrastructure and allow entrepreneurial thinking for Nigeria. So we should be seeing some positive signs in the months and days to come, because this president-elect has almost zero tolerance for corruption and ineptitude, and the signs are already beginning to show that everybody's putting their acts together and putting extraordinary performances to work, because they don't know whether they will be retained or not. So the youth have a new day in Nigeria, and we should bring them together, use agribusiness like the president-elect has said, and mining, but more importantly, let's also look at other sectors, direct employments, and stuff like that. So that's my take on that.
Great, thank you. And then just lastly, is there an outlook for the Nigerian currency?
Yeah, just not the currency. Of course, that's a gateway to predicting how the economy will look like. The currency needs to be stabilized in order for investors to be able to predict what's going to be happening to their investment. 30 years ago, it used to be, not too long ago, you are talking of 1 naira to $1. How can it just become 200 naira to $1? I believe this present, the new government that will be inaugurated on May 29th has the political will and the commitment to stabilize the Nigerian economy and the currency. The president-elect said it very aptly, that when you secure your country, you send a signal to the global world that their investment can be protected, then the productive sectors will be put to work. And once that happens, it becomes easy for the economy to be in cruise control. And that's exactly what everybody that has given a mandate to this new government expects from them.
Well, that's great. Thank you for coming in today. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank
you, Jessica, for having me.
Well, that's all that we have time for today, but make sure to keep checking back on the Jukascopy website for further updates. Goodbye for now.